right, today, class, we're going to be learning about solving quadratic equations by graphing. All right, so right now, what is the ax squared? Which term is the ax squared? We call that the
Quadratic term.
That's right, that's the quadratic term. And when you have an a value, you'll notice that the graph either opens up or it opens down. The bigger the absolute value of the number, the more narrow the graph. The smaller the absolute value of a, the closer it gets to what? Oh, 0. All right, now, what's the bx represent?
A number here.
Linear term, that's right. And look what happens when I move that. It becomes a, yeah, you have slope. It's a line, right? Because how many, right now it's not quadratic, right? It's not quadratic at all. All right? Well, what happens when we add a little quadraticness to it? That's not a real word. You see how it moves the graph? See it? Yeah, I'm recording.
He's recording.
And look what happens with the C value. Up or, and what does the C value represent in a quadratic equation? The y-intercept. All right? So by the way, everybody, today we're going to be talking about not graphing the axis of symmetry, not plotting the y-intercept. We're talking about solving. Now, I want you guys to understand something. This is a quadratic equation. How many places does it touch the x-axis right there? 2. So understand, what I'd like you to do in your journal is just make a sketch of this graph. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I need you guys to understand. You could have 2 x-intercepts. X-intercepts are also referred to as roots. It's another word that's interchangeable for x-intercepts, right? You could also say find the roots of your quadratic equation or function. You could also say, what are your solutions to the quadratic equation function? And last but not least, they could say, what are your zeros? In the graphing calculator, you can find zeros, all right, by using a certain method in the graphing calculator, and that's what you're looking for. When it says find the zeros, it's asking you to find where the quadratic touches the x-axis, and what is the y value always equal to on the y-axis? Sorry, on the x-axis. 0, okay? So this right here, this is some negative value of x, and 0, this is another value of x. 0. Okay? So this is a picture of a quadratic function that has 2 zeros. Okay? We'll change it. Now, if I move this up, above the x-axis, how many zeros is that? So this answer right here, this would be, this has no solutions. So above or, hold on, watch this, ready? If I make it negative blue and I move it below the x-axis, see how this parabola doesn't touch it? So this would be another picture of a type of parabola that would have 0 solutions. So in order for it to have a solution, it has to be what?
Above.
It has to touch that. It has to touch the x-axis at 0. 1 or 2 points. 1 point. Let me show you what that has 1. Ready? Here's your graphing calculator. If you hit y equals, I'm going to type in x squared plus 6x plus 9, and I'm going to hit the graph button. You see how this graph touches it at 1 place? This could be an example of a quadratic function that has 1 solution. What's the only solution of where that touches the x-axis? That's right. So this answer right here, if I said, hey, what's the solution of this? This would be at a negative 3, 0 right there. Okay? So, in review, you should have in your journal 3 different graphs. You have 1? Okay, I'll help you with the 3 right now. Let's see here. You could have a graph right here And how many solutions does this represent? 2. And blue, you could have one that looks like this, where you have one that's going up, or you could have one that's going down. This has 2. This has no solutions. And last but not least, we had a graph that comes and it touches right there on the x-axis just one time. A lot of times you might see a multiple choice problem where it asks you how many solutions that a parabola could have, and there's 4 answer choices. All right? And so the correct answer would either be 2, none, or 1, but sometimes they put 3 or 4. So these are the different scenarios that you could run into. All right, so let's look at problem number 1. How many solutions does problem number 1 have? 2. We have 1 right here, and we have 1 right here. Now, we're looking at the values for x, where the y value is 0. So what's this value of x? -1. And what's this value of x? 1. Now, this right here, you could write the answer. You have 2 solutions, one at x equals 1 and one at x equals -1. Those are 2 answers. I want you guys to write this as a solution set. So right here, for problem number 1, I want you to write solution set, and you can put this over into your journal. You actually have to have these set brackets. All right, and you're going to say one of the solutions is at -1, and one of the solutions is at +1. This is not an ordered pair. This would be an incorrect way of writing your answers. What does -1, 1 here represent? This represents an ordered pair. That would be an incorrect way of letting me know that those are solutions. I want you guys to use your solution set brackets. Okay? This represents this answer as a solution set. Number 2, where does this cross the x-axis? Nowhere. So your answer would be no solutions. Now, you could also call this an empty or null set. Okay? When you have a 0 with a line slashed through it, then you're referring to that as an empty or a null set. There are no solutions that can fill in that set. This is different than if you wrote this, everybody. If you wrote this, you are telling me there is a solution. There is a solution where? At 0. This up here refers to, you're letting me know that there is no solution. Now, if you'd like to, you're more than welcome just to write the words no solutions, so you don't want to confuse me. All right? All right, moving on to problem 3. Oops, not there. Right here. How many solutions do we have in problem number 3? 2. You could say x equals, or we could put this in a solution set. What are the 2 roots, solutions, x-intercepts, or zeros? 1 and 2. So you put 1, 2. What I like to do, everybody, is I like to put them in order from least to greatest. Okay? When I list all my roots, I usually list them in from least to greatest. Now, right now you're only going to have 2 at the most. Pretty easy. Now, by the way, everybody, these are exact right here. They're perfectly right there as an integer. Okay? So understand, sometimes you're not going to get an integer as your roots. So what I'd like us to do, the last problem that we're going to be doing on this particular video, all right, is I'd like us to do problem number 4 together. All right? So right now, problem number 4, we are going to first find the axis of symmetry. And the formula for the axis of symmetry is -b over 2a. So we need to know what a is, what b is, and what c is. Okay? So right now, in this quadratic equation right here, what is the a value? Negative 2. The b value? Negative 6. And c? All right. So right now, if we were to find our axis of symmetry, we have to take the opposite of our b value, which makes this a positive 6, over 2 times our a value, which makes that a negative 4. And 6 divided by negative 4 is a negative 1.5. So what I'd like you guys to do first, all right, is I'd like you to draw in an axis of symmetry on your paper where x is equal to a negative 1.5. So this is negative 1, this is negative 2, so negative 1.5 is going to be right there, splitting that right down the middle. What do we know about this? We know that our x coordinate is going to be on this axis of symmetry for our vertex. So right here, your x value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you guys to put negative 1.5. Right there. Negative 1.5. And if you take this answer right here, everybody, and you plug it in for x here and here and press enter, you'll get the y value that goes with the vertex. But we're going to use the graphing calculator. Everybody hit y equals. It's negative 2x squared. Forgot the x. X squared. Is it minus 6x? Is it plus 5 or minus 5? Plus 5? Okay, plus 5. So there's my quadratic equation. I'm going to hit graph. There's the picture of our graph. But I want to check the table. We're going to want to check the table at negative 1.5. So hit second window. If you hit second window, what does that allow you to do? It allows you to start your table wherever you want to start it at. I want to start it at a negative 1.5. Now check your table. And where are we at? We're at a 9.5. So what I'd like you guys to do in your table right here is put 9.5 right there in the middle. And what does that represent in our particular graph? That represents our vertex. Well, there's a line of symmetry, but that's the vertex. It's either going to be the highest or the lowest. In our case, it's the highest. Let's graph it. Negative 1.5, 9, there's a 10. 9.5 is going to be right about there. All right, I'm going to need you guys' assistance on this one because I don't want to graph all these halves. So I'm going to go hit second window. I'm going to start back at 0. Let's look for numbers that we can actually plot. What I'd like us to do is I'd like us to start at, let's see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go from negative 5. We're going to go from negative 5 all the way down to 2. So we're going to find the y coordinates, and we're not going to be able to plot all these points. We'll be able to plot some of them. Okay? All right, what we've done is we filled in this table pretty quickly. You'll notice that the y values now have symmetry. Okay? See how those match. So we're going to go ahead and just go and plot these. You'll probably see that we'll plot them pretty quickly. We're going to go ahead and pause the video and get them plotted. Once you have the points plotted, I want you guys to carefully draw your parabola. Now you'll notice that the zeros are right in here and right in here. These are not exact. Okay? Where are they located? They're not located perfectly at an integer. This one's located between a negative 4 and a negative 3. This one's located between a 0 and a 1. So I'm going to write down the final answer. So your final answers are between negative 4 and negative 3 and between 0 and 1. That's where your y value